I can still remember the first message. Not the words, just how it felt reading them, like someone had slid a cold coin down the back of my shirt. It was just after midnight, the kind of night where your phone glow is the only light in the room and you know you should be asleep, but you're not. My roommate Emily was out for the weekend. The silence made the whole apartment feel hollow. So I did what I promised myself I wouldn't. I opened the new dating app. Honestly, I don't know what I was looking for. Not love, not even company, just a little proof that someone out there saw me. My profile was generic. One blurry mirror selfie, some joke about loving pizza and thunderstorms. No real name, nothing that would give too much away. Within minutes, a notification. You got a message. I almost didn't open it, but curiosity always wins, right? The user's name was Art, no last initial, just Art. His profile picture was weirdly ordinary. A guy with brown hair, hoodie, and a big old-fashioned camera covering half his face. His bio said, "Photographer. I like finding things other people miss." For some reason, that line stuck with me. His first message, "You're the only person here who looks awake." Just that. I wanted to ignore him, but something about the message, it didn't sound like a pickup line, more like a dare. So I replied, "Insomniac Club. Congrats, you found me." He wrote back right away, "That's what I do, find people." A chill ran through me, but I laughed it off. We messaged for an hour. He was quick, clever, sometimes weird but never flirty. He asked strange questions. "What's the creepiest place you've ever been? Do you ever feel like someone's watching you even when you're alone?" I didn't answer that one, not really, but I kept replying anyway. By 2 a.m., I realized I was telling him things I didn't even tell my friends. Nothing huge, just odd little secrets. It felt easy. Maybe too easy. That's when he sent another message. "Can I show you something?" I hesitated, thumb hovering over the screen. "Show me what?" A link popped up. No warning, just a short message. "Don't worry, it's safe. I took this photo tonight." Part of me wanted to just block him, but curiosity is a weird drug. Against my better judgment, I tapped the link. The photo loaded slowly, pixel by pixel. It was a black and white shot. City street at night, empty except for a single lamplight. The caption below, "Some places only look empty." I stared at it for a long time. Something about the image made my skin crawl. Maybe it was the shadows, or the fact that the angle felt familiar. I typed back, "Where did you take this?" He answered instantly, "Not far from you." My chest tightened. I hadn't told him where I lived, not even which city. I started to type out, "How do you know that?" but stopped. Maybe he was just guessing, or maybe I'd posted something public and he'd put it together. I tried to shrug it off. "That's creepy, Art." He replied with a winking emoji. "Sorry, occupational hazard. I notice things." After that, I tried to end the conversation. Getting late. I should sleep. But before I could log off, another message came through. "Don't worry. I just like to know where the interesting people are." For the first time, I locked my bedroom door that night. The next morning, I tried to tell myself it was nothing. People get weird on dating apps all the time, but I couldn't shake that photo out of my mind. The way the street light bent over the sidewalk, the row of trash cans, the cracked curb. It looked exactly like the block behind my building. I scrolled through my own phone's gallery, flipping between his photo and the pictures I'd taken on my way to work. Same graffiti, same old lamplight, same broken fence. I hadn't posted any of those pictures anywhere. I was sure of it. For the rest of the day, every time my phone buzzed, my heart skipped. But Art didn't message again. By sunset, I'd almost convinced myself I was just being paranoid. I put on some music, cleaned the kitchen, tried to make the apartment feel normal. Emily was still gone. The silence felt thicker than ever. At 9:14 p.m., my phone lit up. Art. You have good taste in music. I could hear it from the hallway. I froze. I hadn't told anyone what I was playing. I stared at the message so long my vision blurred. Every hair on my body was standing up. I crept to the peephole and looked out. Nothing. The hallway was empty. I didn't reply. He sent another message. You don't have to be scared. I just like to watch. Most people never notice. My hands shook as I locked every window. I thought about calling the police, but what would I even say? I went to bed with the lights on, phone clutched in my fist, listening for footsteps I hoped I'd never hear. I barely slept. Every sound felt suspicious. Pipes clanging, floorboards creaking, the building's ancient elevator groaning to life and rattling up the shaft. No new messages from Art. I almost wished there were, just to know where he was. By morning, exhaustion won over fear. I got dressed, grabbed my bag, and tried to convince myself this was all just some online prank. But as soon as I stepped into the hallway, something caught my eye. A piece of white paper slipped under my door. On it, in neat typed letters, it said, "You always leave at 7:42. My whole body went cold. I checked the peephole. Nothing. The hallway looked the same as always, but now I knew he'd been here. Maybe more than once. I went straight to campus security. They took my statement, even sent someone to walk me home that night, but they couldn't do much. Probably just some internet troll, they said. Block him, change your info, be careful. I deleted the app, changed my number, rearranged my room so my bed was nowhere near the window, but for weeks afterward I'd wake up to little things out of place. A glass moved, a curtain shifted, a faint smell of cigarette smoke I never noticed before. No more messages ever came from Art, but sometimes, late at night, I'd see a camera flash on the street below, just for a split second, gone before I could look twice, and I always wondered if he'd found someone else, someone who still answered messages in the dark. Now every time my phone buzzes after midnight, I ask myself, who's really watching who? Most people think the scariest part of online dating is meeting a stranger. For me, the worst part was realizing I'd never actually met the person at all. I wasn't new to dating apps. By the time I turned 30, I'd survived my share of awkward coffee dates and ghosted conversations. But after a brutal breakup, I decided to try something different. A site for serious relationships, the kind with long profiles and endless personality quizzes. I wanted something real, or at least, I wanted someone who acted real. That's how I matched with Grant. His profile wasn't flashy, just a couple of crisp, well-lit photos, one in a gray sweater, one in front of some leafy park, and a close-up of a book in his hand. The fun facts section said he was into crossword puzzles and played the piano. I liked that. I liked the idea of someone quiet, a little nerdy with nothing to hide. His first message was so normal it almost felt like a relief. Is it weird that I'm better at talking about books than myself? We started slow. Grant asked about my job, my favorite bookstores, the worst first date I'd ever had. His answers were sometimes a little vague, but he always made me laugh. Funny memes, bad puns, exactly the kind of low-pressure banter I needed. But every once in a while he'd say something that didn't quite fit. Like when I mentioned a coffee shop near my office, he'd reply with, "The one with the blue door and the tiny cactus garden?" I never said anything about a blue door or a garden. Little things, easy to explain away. But my gut started cataloging them one by one. When he finally asked to meet, I said yes, mostly because I was tired of doubting myself, tired of being alone. tired of my own apartment echoing with every tiny sound after dark. I picked the place, but I didn't tell him the real reason why. I wanted to see if he'd been there before. I chose a little diner on the edge of downtown, one of those places with sticky menus and neon lights buzzing in the window. It was the kind of spot nobody picked for a first date unless they wanted to hide. I arrived early, took a booth near the back, and waited. The minutes dragged. I kept checking my phone, watching every man who walked in, half hoping and half dreading I'd recognize him from his photos. But nobody looked quite right. At 7:22, my phone buzzed. "Grant, running late, be there soon." I replied, "No rush," but my stomach twisted. 5 minutes later, another message. "Are you sitting by the jukebox?" My heart dropped. I hadn't told him where I was sitting. The place wasn't crowded, but the booth by the jukebox was half hidden from the door. I looked around. No one was watching me. No one looked out of place. I typed back, "Yeah, you found me. Where are you?" No answer. 10 minutes passed. I ordered coffee just to have something to do with my hands. Still no sign of Grant. Then another message. "Sorry, something came up." Rain check. No apology. No explanation. Just gone. I stared at my phone, trying not to look as rattled as I felt. I told myself it was just bad luck. But when I got up to leave, I noticed something on the edge of the table. A small folded napkin with my name written on it in neat blue ink. I hadn't told him my real name. Not on the app, not in our texts. That was the moment I realized. Maybe I wasn't the only one doing the watching. I took the napkin home, turning it over and over in my hands. My name, Megan, written in that small, careful print. Not the username from the app, not even the version I used on my social media. I barely slept that night. Every time headlights swept across my blinds, my heart pounded. The next day, Grant didn't message, neither did I. But late that afternoon, a delivery arrived at my building. No return address, just a plain brown envelope with my name on it, written in the same neat blue ink. Inside was a crossword puzzle, half completed, and a single note. Maybe next time. I called my best friend, Sarah, and tried to explain, but the words sounded crazier out loud. "He must have Googled you," she said. "People find stuff online all the time." But I hadn't used my real name. Not anywhere. That night, my phone buzzed again. "Grant, did you get my puzzle? Sorry if I scared you. I just really wanted to meet you in person." My stomach twisted. I didn't reply. He messaged again. "You don't have to be scared. I'm not a stranger." I blocked his number, deleted the app. But as the days went by, I started noticing little things. A coffee cup sat outside my door, a sticky note on my mailbox. Still hoping for a second chance. I started leaving the lights on at night, double-checking the locks, watching for shadows in the hallway outside my apartment. I kept telling myself it was all in my head, but every time I passed by that diner, I couldn't help but wonder if someone was still sitting there, waiting, just out of sight. A week passed. The messages stopped, but the unease never left. I started taking different routes home from work, glancing over my shoulder, flinching whenever my phone buzzed. One evening, as I reached my apartment door, I saw another envelope taped to it. Plain white, with that same blue handwriting. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a single Polaroid. The photo showed the booth by the jukebox in the diner, empty, except for a coffee cup, a folded napkin, and a crossword puzzle. My name was visible on the napkin. On the back of the photo, just one line. "I like finding things other people miss." That night, I packed a bag and slept at Sarah's. The next morning, I called my landlord, changed my locks, and asked for extra security cameras to be installed. I never went back to that diner. I deleted every dating app I'd ever tried, erased my profiles, and even changed my email. For a long time, nothing happened. life slowly felt normal again. But sometimes, when I'm walking alone after dark or waiting for the bus in the rain, I get the feeling I'm being watched. Sometimes I still find a crossword puzzle tucked inside my mailbox or a napkin with my name, blue ink smudged at the edge. Most people think the scariest part of online dating is meeting a stranger, but the truth is, sometimes you never meet them at all, and that's when they're the closest. If you'd asked me last year, I would have said nothing truly bad could happen to someone as invisible as me. I kept my life small for a reason. Same job, same coffee order, same studio apartment overlooking the parking lot. The kind of place where your neighbors don't even know your name. I liked it that way. But when my mom got sick, I suddenly felt how empty it all was. Hospital nights with the hum of machines for company scrolling through my phone just to stay awake, pretending I was braver than I felt. That's when I downloaded Shadow Match, an app I'd never even heard of before, one that barely had any reviews but promised deep, honest connections. I should have known that nobody who's truly honest advertises it like that. I made my profile on a whim. No real name, no real photo, just a blurry picture of a river at night and a quote from an old movie. I didn't expect anyone to notice me, but the very next morning I got a message. No cheesy pickup line, just, "Do you ever wonder who's watching you?" I almost laughed. It felt like spam, or some bored teenager playing a prank. But then came a second message. "Your apartment window looks beautiful with the lights off." My heart did that slow, sinking drop. I checked the sender's profile. Username, Black North. No picture, no bio. Just those words. I wanted to block him. I really did. But instead I pulled the curtains tight, turned off my phone, and sat in the dark for a long, long time. I barely slept that night. Every sound outside my window, every car door, every distant siren made my skin prickle. By morning, the messages were gone, deleted, no trace. I wondered if I'd imagined the whole thing. The next day at work, I told myself to forget it. People troll those apps all the time. But as soon as I walked into my apartment building that evening, I noticed something new. A single black envelope taped to my door. No name, no address. Just a blank, heavy envelope that felt wrong in my hand. Inside was a photograph, grainy, almost too dark to make out, but I knew what it was. The view from the alley behind my apartment. You could just make out my window, faintly glowing behind the blinds. On the back, in small block letters, "You should close your curtains." I ran from room to room, checking every lock, every window. I turned on every light and tried to breathe. I called my best friend, Anna, and asked if I could sleep at her place. I didn't tell her the real reason. I just said I was feeling weird and needed company. She didn't press. She just said yes. That night, lying awake on Anna's couch, I wondered if I was losing my mind, or if someone out there really was watching me right now, waiting for the lights to go out. I didn't go home for 2 days. Anna didn't ask questions and I didn't offer answers. But by the third night, I knew I couldn't avoid my own apartment forever, so I went back, carefully, in broad daylight, heart pounding the whole walk from the parking lot. Everything looked the same, except for one thing. A small white USB drive left on my doorstep. No note, just the drive, clean and ordinary. I brought it inside, hands shaking, and plugged it into my old laptop. There was only one file, a video, exactly 47 seconds long. The screen was mostly black, but as the video played, I realized it was filmed from outside my building, zoomed in on my window. The camera slowly panned to the left, catching the edge of my living room curtain, then to the right, to the lamp by my bed. I watched as the light in my room flicked on. Me, walking in, exhausted, tossing my keys on the table, never once looking up at the lens pointed straight at me. The last frame froze on my window, then glitched out to static. For a second, The screen went dark. Then a final line appeared, white on black. You see yourself, but do you see me? I unplugged the USB, heart pounding in my throat, and threw it in the trash. For the first time in my life, I understood what it meant to be truly seen, not in the way you hope, but in the way you fear. That night, I slept with the lights on. Every time a car passed outside or a floorboard creaked, I jumped. I thought about calling the police, but what would I even say? There was no threat, no evidence, just shadows and messages that disappeared the second I tried to show anyone. So, I changed my routines. I put blackout curtains on every window, bought a new lock for the door, moved my bed away from the wall. I deleted my profile from Shadow Match, erased the app, changed my number, even started parking on a different street. Weeks went by. Slowly, the fear faded. I saw my mom get better. I started to feel almost normal again. Almost like myself. But then, one morning, I woke up to the sound of my TV turning on by itself. Static at first. Then the screen glitched and flickered through images. My living room, my kitchen, my desk, my bed. Each frame lasted only a second, but I recognized them all. Every angle was from inside my own apartment. The TV went black. A single line of white text appeared in the center of the screen. When you change your routines, I learn new ones. I stared at the screen, paralyzed. I ran to the door, locks untouched, windows still closed, everything exactly as I left it. I moved out that same day, leaving behind everything but my phone in a single bag. Now, every time I see a screen flicker, a smart device blink, or even hear my own voice played back from a speaker, I wonder, is it paranoia? Or is it just someone learning my new patterns? How do you know you're safe when the watcher is everywhere you look?